I get to Vach Rabbi, so I'd like to start with a story. I'd like to start with a Maisa Shahaya. True story. I don't know if this one made the rounds, didn't make the rounds. Nowadays, this is the time that anything can become viral in seconds. So I want to tell you a Maisa, true Maisa. I heard this from my wife. A neighbor came over and told it to us. It happened to her cousin. So as far as I know, it's a true, real, authentic story, which I don't know has been making the rounds. I have no idea. But listen to the story. It's a Gavaldige Maisa, which I feel can tell us a tremendous lesson as well. So my neighbor has a cousin living in a settlement right next to Gaza. And on October 7th, so she was living over there. And her next door neighbor is a woman. The husband was away at the time. 2 children. One, a 4-year-old child, and the other one was a 4-month-old baby. The Arabs, the terrorists, they came inside and they immediately killed the neighbor, the mother. They took the 2 children, the 4-year-old child and the 4-month-old baby. They schlepped these 2 kids to the next door neighbor, which was a cousin of my neighbor, to the mother. They said, "Here, hold these." She says, "Okay." And then they schlep her into Gaza. They schlep her as a hostage into Gaza. She's walking and walking, holding these 2 kids. And at one point, she looks around and she sees that there's no one watching her. There's nobody around. They're all busy doing other things, looking after those ones, with this one. No one's watching her. So she looks and she says, maybe this is my opportunity. So she's holding a 4-year-old child, a 4-month-old baby, and she starts to walk towards the border. That's open. She walks towards the border, waiting, I'm sure, that someone's going to stop her, but nobody stops her. And she walks and she walks and she walks for 4 hours. She's holding these 2 children in her hand. 4 hours. She managed to escape. She survived. And she lived to tell the story. Now, unfortunately, not many was zoicha for that incredible act of Hashgacha Peratis, incredible Chesed Hashem, and we don't understand why. And recently, I have been receiving a number of emails and questions from people. What's the avodah? What are we meant to do? Especially for us in Eretz Yisrael. Sometimes it gets a little bit like monotonous. Okay, the war. Okay, we'll say Kapitel Tehillim, and of course we'll have in mind the soldiers and Avada Sakon of Klal Yisrael. But sometimes it gets a little bit dry. And we say, what are we meant to be doing? What are we meant to be thinking? What's our avodah? So I cannot answer the question. I don't know. But I can give you a small thought. What may be possibly what I was thinking for myself to work on. That maybe together we can also do a similar idea. And others to work on a mind-boggling idea, which is a simple idea, but yet so important. And I think the story that we just mentioned represents that idea. That everything in the world happens with the reason. Everything happens with a pshat. There is nothing that happens stam. The Medrash Rabbah tells us in Bereshis that when Reb Shimon Bar Yochai came out of the cave, he saw a hunter. And he saw birds that the hunter was trying to hunt. And the baskol came out, says the Medrash. And the baskol said that those birds are going to be captured and killed. And those birds are going to go for free, says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. We see from there, says the Medrash, quoting Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, what do we see? That there's no such thing as anything in the world that happens stam. There's no such thing of something that just happens, that just occurs. Everything has a pshat, and everything is from the Rabbeinu Shalom. Famous story from the Baal Shem Tov, we've said it here many times before, the Heilige Baal Shem. He was teaching a bunch of Talmidim out in the field somewhere, and as he was giving sheh, a leaf dropped off one of the trees and slowly made its way down onto the grass, onto the floor beneath. The Baal Shem Tov stopped the sheh and he said, "Rabbi Sai, I want to show you something." He went over to the leaf, he picked up the leaf, there's a little worm underneath over there. And he said, this was ordained in Shamayim, that this worm needed shade. And it had no shade and it was hot, it was bothering the worm, and therefore that leaf came off specifically at that time, specifically at that exact position, and fell down exactly over the worm in order to make sure that that worm got the shade that it needed. Rabbi say nothing in the world happens stam. Everything is preordained. Everything happens by Hashgacha Peratis. The Gemara tells us in Chulin Daf Zayin, that means there isn't a person in the world that trips and hurts his finger, hurts his foot, hurts his toe, whatever it may be, if there wasn't a gzeira in Shomayim. A blade of grass doesn't move unless it was a gzeira min hashamayim. And that is an avodah that we have to work on. Bacha asked me, teach me about Yiras Shamayim. Teach me Yiras Shamayim. Isn't that amazing? A Bacha 2023. I want to know about Yiras Shamayim. That's what I want to know about. Beautiful. Veishis Chochma Yiras Hashem. You look at the beginning of all the Svarim, everyone and anywhere, whether it's Veishis Chochma, Yisod V'Shoish V'Avoida, whatever it is, whatever you look at, it's all the same thing. It's looking at the Rabbeinu Shalom's creations. Look at how he directs the world and you see Hashem. Most amazing thing. I asked Rav Victor Miller one time, what is the most important Mussar Sefer to learn? And this is not about that. And he said, maybe people will disagree with me, but he said you should learn Chayvis Alavavas, Shara B'china, because you learn to see the Rabbeinu Shalom in everything in the world. You learn to see Hashem in every action, in every creation, in everything in the world. You get to see the Rabbeinu Shalom. I said to this boy, I think I repeated it a couple of times to a number of boys, same idea. I said, imagine the Havdil Elef Havdolis. If I would tell you about a certain inventor, he invents things. What do you think of such a guy? I don't know, I never heard of him. I don't care about him. I don't know anything about him. I'm not impressed by anything he makes. I don't know what he makes. I don't understand how he makes it. Okay. Then I tell you, do me a favor. Study his works for a year straight. An hour a day. Study everything he created, everything he invented, everything he performed. Study it. See what he did. You'll come back to me after, you'll be like, wow, the guy's a genius. The guy's amazing. How did he do such a thing? How did he invent this? How did he come up with the idea with this? Because when you study the works of someone, you understand who they are, at least to some degree, and you're very impressed and you're in awe. If you want to be in awe of the Rabbeinu Shalom, if you want Yiras Hashem, you need to study the works of the Rabbeinu Shalom. And that's the world that we live in. Not just through the creations, which also we have to study. The human body, the beautiful world that the Rabbeinu Shalom created, but everything that goes on in the world. Every act that happens, everything that happens to our lives is not stum. You met someone. Somebody said to me, Hashgacha Peratis stories. We've done it in Yeshiva a couple of times. These earth-shattering stories that Rabbi Pesach Krohn says, those are the Hashgacha Peratis stories. 1 minute, what about the fact that you went to Shefa to buy something or to pick up something in the pharmacy and you met a guy who invited you Friday night meal? Boom, that's Hashgacha Peratis. The Rabbeinu Shalom is in our lives the whole time. You know, it's the greatest insult to someone if you've got no time for them. If they're trying to talk to you and you've no interest to respond. The Rabbeinu Shalom through Hashgacha Peratis is talking to us. He's talking to us. He's having a conversation with us. And if we have no time to even notice the details, if we have no time and no interest to notice what's going on, that is the greatest insult that we can have. We know one of the Aseret Adibros, Anoicha Hashem Alekecha She'otzichum Me'eretz Mitzrayim. The Rabbeinu Shalom took us out of Mitzrayim. That is gewaldig. That's beautiful. 1 second, we have a very simple question, which is not my kasha. The Rishonim asked the kasha, the Rosh and others. I don't understand. Don't you think the Rabbeinu Shalom should have said, at the first Aseret Adibros, I am your God who created the world. My Samarishis. What shaykh is very nice. This is Mitzrayim. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. We'll eat matzah. We'll drink wine. We'll have a moedik seder. That's beautiful. But the first of the Aseret Adibros, by the way, I am God who created and who took you out of Mitzrayim. Why not created the world? The Rosh asked the kasha. And the Rosh answered, and he said, because, all right, creating the world, I have Sefer Bereshis, Parsha Bereshis, unbelievable Midrashim, Chazal, Moedik. But maybe a person will be led to believe that the Rabbeinu Shalom created the world and left it that way, and left it Chas v'Shalom to nature. No. That's why we say, Anoicha Hashem, first of the Aseret Adibros, I am Hashem who took you out of Mitzrayim. There's constant Hashgacha Peratis. Everything that happens in our lives is Hashgacha Peratis. And perhaps the avodah that we have to be working on at this time is to where to put our emunah, where to place our trust, to recognize the Hashgacha Peratis that goes on in our life, to see everything Hashem does for us on a daily basis, every moment of the day. If only we would see. If only we would open up our eyes, as the Lashon of the Chayvis Alavavos and Shah B'chin in the beginning over there says, that most people walk around blind They're poshut blind. They're walking around with their eyes closed. They don't see the gadlus of the Bria Sa'odom, of the Bria Sa'olam, of the creation of the world, and the way the Rebbeinu Shalom runs the world and everything of our actions. And anything that happens, that's Zul Hashgacha Peratis. I want to end with one Maisa, which again, like I said at the beginning of today, I don't know if this is a famous one, not a famous one, went viral, not went viral, it should go viral, if anything should go viral. It's the most incredible story. And the lessons that can be learned from this story is endless. So if you heard it already, listen again. It's unbelievable. There was a yeshiva bacha. There was a yeshiva bacha here in Eretz Yisrael that went to visit his friend. His friend was sick in hospital. So he went to visit him, sat by his bed, sitting there, schmoozing, Bekacholim, Gavaldiga Mitzvah. And in the same room, there's a soldier who's been injured in the war. This soldier is lying in bed, who also has a visitor, one of his friends. And each visitor is talking to who they're coming to visit. And everything is fine. The conversations are flowing, everything's great. Doesn't take long until eventually the conversation goes dry, and the visitor of the army, of the soldier, said to the visitor of the other boy, the yeshiva bacha, says, so why don't you go to the army? Why are you not in the army? So he says, what do you mean? I'm a bacha in yeshiva. I'm doing my part. We're sitting and learning. We're doing the shmira in the Beis Medrash. We say Tehillim every day. And they start arguing backwards and forwards, right, wrong. Until the yeshiva bacha says to this guy, says, by the way, not only do we learn, and of course, b'schus for all of the soldiers and the safety of Klal Yisrael, but we actually took on a soldier. We, each and every one of us, took on our own soldier. We have his name, and we daven for him. We daven for him in davening. We say Tehillim for him. We learn b'schus his shmira, and therefore, that's a wonderful thing. So the guy says to him, so what's the name? What's the name of the soldier? So he says the name of the soldier. All of a sudden, the soldier that's in the bed, who's sick, who was injured, face goes white. He said, that's my name. You've been davening for me. Now this yeshiva bacha had no idea who he was davening for, and here he is, Hashgacha Peratis, in the same hospital. So that's good ammunition for the visitor of the soldier. He says, so you're davening for him and he's injured in bed. What's the pshat? The bacha said, listen, I don't understand the Rebbeinu Shalom's ways. Maybe, who knows, he could have been injured in a much heavier way, and the shmira helped him, and he was only injured in a small way. I don't know how the Rebbeinu Shalom runs the world. But 1 second. The soldier started talking, and he said to this yeshiva bacha, he said, tell me, how does the Seder Hayom work? How does it work, the schedule of the day? So he told him the schedule of his day. And the yeshiva bacha says, like, why are you asking? So the soldier says, because I know exactly when I got injured. I know the time that I got injured. By the army, they have to record everything. They recorded the time that I was injured. I was injured at 4:30 p.m. 4:30 in the afternoon, I got injured. That's when my injury occurred. According to what you're saying, you're learning at that time. He said, what day was it? He said it was Wednesday. Wednesday, I came a few minutes late to Seder. I wasn't there at 4 o'clock to learn at regular time. I came late. You didn't have the shmira. Rabbi Sai, you know what that meiser is? You know the koyach of our Torah, you know the koyach of our Tehillim, of our Tefillahs is oim v'noir. It's unbelievable. Here's an exact example of how someone's Torah is affecting somebody else. We are doing something, and we're doing something incredibly great. And the Hashgacha Peratis of him being able to meet him on that day, at that time, in the same room in the hospital, what are the chances? The answer is, when the Rebbeinu Shalom is running the world, there's no such thing as chances. Everything is Hashgacha Peratis. Everything is preordained. We'll end, Rabbi said, with this. The Heilige Chofetz Chaim, and we said this before, the Heilige Chofetz Chaim once said at the end of time, right before Mashiach, the Rebbeinu Shalom will dangle down the rope, and it will be shaking vigorously. And we have to hold on really, really tight. Whoever's holding on is going to make it till the end. The Emunah and the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Hashgacha Peratis, and how the Rebbeinu Shalom runs the world. Rabbi say, hold on tight. It's being shaken very vigorously. Let's hold on to our Emunah. Let's hold on strong to the idea of Hashgacha Peratis. Emunah that the Rebbeinu Shalom does everything, and there is nothing in this world that wasn't preordained. And Be'ez Hashem, b'schus of our gewaldige Emunah in the Rebbeinu Shalom, with our tefillas, with our Torah, Be'ez Hashem, we should be zoicha that Klal Yisrael will have gewaldige Yeshuas, and will be zoicha to be dancing together with the binyan by Shlishi B'mhei V'amenu Amen.